Hello again. Welcome back. As always, this is Becca going by Nightcat or Nightcat's Meow when online. And good to see you here again for another episode of learning Linden's scripting language. So, this time I promised last week that I would go over additional things you could do with thrown objects. So, today we're going to look at a few things you can do. You can set them up to trigger a specific event when they hit. We're going to explore how to remove all physics and how to simply remove the object. This is good ways of keeping things clean, but the same basic structure can be used to add all sorts of things, be they particle effects, messages to given people, what have you. Combined with other things we learn, you could even make this function as the basis of a relatively simple combat system, where, for example, a lot of older systems in some of the early days of SL had projectiles that when they hit, they would send a message with the identity of whoever they struck. So it was able to register hits that way. We won't go into all of that this time, but you'll have all the framework you'd need to explore something like that on your own. I do not recommend using that for a combat system, by the way. There are much better ways to handle that these days than there were way back in the day. So, as you'll see behind me here on my build platform, we have the target we are working with, and I currently have one of my simple little tennis ball things. As you see, I have one of my little tennis ball things. Raining little balls. Since their physics remain active, they'll just bounce about. But we're going to explore different things you can do. Pay no attention to all that over there. I was building a project based on a scooter for a friend. Remove the ball. For the moment, we're going to turn off physical and temporary. That could get really inconvenient for us if left on. Now, a lot of times, only if you need to have something respond when you throw it in a particular way do you want to actually script a projectile, because you're going to be producing a lot of them. And the scripts in SL, they have, no matter how small they are, they have a certain minimum amount of memory the server sets aside for them. So making a whole lot of these, especially creating them very rapidly, is a good way to wind up with an awful lot of information flooding the sim that you're in. But if you want to make it respond, collision start is the key to making that happen. The two things I'm going to demonstrate with this are to make it just go away, or to make it freeze in place. So it hits something, you know where it landed. So we're going to first start with freezing it in place. With set status, there are a bunch of different statuses you can set. Most of them you don't need for a lot of things. The most important one you can get is status physics. False. What this will do is it will automatically turn off the physics when it strikes something. And that will make this target function more like those Velcro ball toss things you might have seen, like the kids' toy ones. Set it to physical and temporary. Take. Make it easier to keep track of in my inventory by making it take 2. The ball I just picked up is going to be the most recent object in my inventory. So I'll just take that back in. Take that. Ball take 2. Add. There. You see a little bit of drift from it, and that is because it takes a tiny bit of system time to process the strike. But you see all of them, except where they might interact with the physics weird, just stop where they were. And you notice the physical, up until it deleted itself, the physical was no longer there. In this case, they're actually striking each other because of throwing them out that fast. Let's get another look at that. I think they're actually counting as striking my avatar. Now, an interesting thing, if you set them to Phantom, they would receive no sign of impact. Collision would never trigger. There is an interesting thing you can do that will cause things to have no physics, but still accept something passing through them, but that is an entirely different command. So we're going to move on to the other example. Detach this. There we go. Now this time, we're going to add sleep 20 and die. This will cause it to delete itself after 20 seconds instead of the minute that is standard for temporary. So we go over here, we're going to enable physics, but we're not going to turn on temporary. Makes that take 3. Physics on a mega prim sometimes gets weird, because that's what I'm actually standing on. I'm standing on a mega prim. Alright. Now these will delete themselves momentarily. You just saw one go away. There's another. And these will disappear any moment. Yep. Boom. And there it goes. You could put in messages to say something to a given person. You can put in detectors. You can put in anything you want, but this is a way to make projectiles do certain things on impact. Probably the most common thing you would actually have them do is use a particle system to represent impact. Particle systems are complex and kind of squirrely. I know coding fairly well, and I usually just stick to modifying copies I already have of a particle system rather than creating entirely new ones. But if you played around with a splash particle system, you could create a water balloon. If you played around with a red splash, you could throw tomatoes if for some reason you wanted to express your annoyance at a performer. Please don't actually do this at any performance in world. You know, the people who perform here, they deserve a certain measure of decency, so, you know, don't be mean. You could do any number of things with those. If you played around with a light source and a particle system and did not actually use the impact, but instead set a timer, You could make the thing go up in the air and be a flare or a firework. The number of options there are pretty extraordinary. More than I'm really going to go over here, again, because playing around with particle systems is not exactly one of my stronger points. But there are on the market several basic particle scripts you can play with, as well as generators for helping you make them. Just search around the marketplace a little bit, you'll find a few. I actually have the old particle script generator myself, and that helps me out a lot. I think it has a newer model than my old one anymore. So just poke around and you will find the tools you need for that. So that will be it for this one. I do have a request in to cover HUDs in more detail, heads up display items in more detail. So I will be covering those for next week's video. So look forward to seeing you again. Until then, good day, good luck, and happy scripting. Please don't forget to leave likes, comments, and subscribes. The comments help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. They also really help me be confident that I'm giving you all what you need, that what you want to know. Asking for specific things, like being asked to do the one on HUDs, also tells me what it is you want to know. So I make these for you all. So leave me messages, talk to me, make a real community out of this. So until then, as I said, good day, good luck, happy scripting. I usually have these scheduled to show up Tuesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time.